This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined on the channel for the first time by 7-0 super lightweight Giovanni or Gio Marquez. What would you prefer, Giovanni or Gio?
Either or, I don't mind. Either or works for me.
All right, I'm going to go for Gio just because it's less syllables and I'm lazy.
Yes.
It's great to have you on. Native of Houston, Texas, of course, highly decorated amateur fighter, but now plying your trade in the pros. And I guess a good place to start, as you haven't been on the channel before, is just tell us a little bit about how you got into the sport initially.
Yeah, I initially got into the sport. I was actually born into the sport. My father, he was a Olympian, world champion. So I looked after my father, and then of course, more than anything, I looked after my two older brothers. They also boxed. One fought all throughout the amateurs, and one actually went pro. And my two brothers are the ones who really inspired me to try boxing. I tried out other sports early on, like soccer, swim, football, but eventually, I got into boxing. I love the sport, and I haven't since.
Sorry, you were freezing up a little bit there. Sorry, what was that last part?
Yes, I tried a lot of sports: football, soccer, swim, and boxing. Eventually, I found out, being that it was around the family, the talk at the dinner table, the talk at the holidays, all that. So eventually, I tried it out. I liked it, and I haven't looked back since.
What was your, and I realise he's listening to this conversation, so it could be slightly awkward, but what was your father's reaction to you trying these other sports and then eventually coming to boxing? Was he encouraging of that, or was he trying to put you off from it maybe because of problems he'd had in his own career?
Yeah, my father, he never wanted any of us to, because he knew firsthand how dangerous and how difficult, how grueling the sport is. But once we tried it out, once we kept pushing the issue, he couldn't really, deny it. So once we did get involved in the sport, he just did his best to support us and, make sure we're prepared
What's the kind of biggest thing
fully.
from his career that he's imparted to you? Maybe things to avoid rather than things to pursue?
From a business perspective, like management and all that, I'm blessed to have him because in his career, he stresses how certain moves that he made in his career could have changed the outcome. Maybe he could have been bigger, certain wrong moves that they made. And I'm blessed to have him because I know we won't make those same moves. And I'm just blessed to have him as my trainer as well because he's so knowledgeable on the sport as a former fighter and now as a commentator. He sees all these fights, so he has so much knowledge in the game, and he just pours that knowledge into me.
Do you think there might be some concern over your future rivals when your dad's commentating on their fights, perhaps?
Not at all. It's just sport. I don't see any concern.
Good to hear. Now, you're next out in a couple of weeks' time. Just tell us about that and how much you know about your opponent.
I know my opponent's very durable on the distance with some top prospects. I'm of course going to go out there and be victorious, but that's not enough for me. I want to go out there and get the stoppage, get the knockout. That's what sells in this business, and that's what I'm looking to do. I know he's durable. I know he comes to fight, so I'm prepared for that.
And you're just 22 years old. You're still kind of filling out, getting that man strength. How confident are you that when you reach championship level, it will be at 140 and you won't have fleshed out to say 47, for example?
Very confident. I do think I 135, but a decision we made with my father is fight at 140 and kind of grow into the division and feel comfortable. Right now, I make the weight very, I wouldn't say easy, but it's not a major struggle. Making weight's never easy, but once I do reach that championship level, I feel I'll fill out perfectly. I'll make the 140 weight very well, and I'll be very strong.
And we've got famous boxing sons, if you like, here in the UK. Two of them may even be fighting each other early next year in Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. How do you feel about, you've already said how beneficial it is to have your dad as part of the team, but in terms of the wider public, especially in the US, Do you feel it's more blessing than hindrance? Because there's positives and negatives, isn't there, in the public eye?
Yes, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's father-son relationship is different. Fortunately for me, I have a great relationship with my father. He's very open-minded. We discuss things from top to bottom. If I see things one way, he's willing to hear me out. If he sees things another, I'm willing to hear him out. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to better me as a fighter in order for me to succeed in the sport. That we have the same vision in mind, and that's to become champion and just ultimately get better each and every day.
And what about the wider public perception? Do you feel there's extra expectation of what you're going to achieve, not just because of your own achievements in the amateurs, but because of how good your father was and the level he ascended to?
Oh yes, absolutely. Even since the amateurs, people have always came and watched to see, oh, does this kid have what his pops has, or is this
And you're a
kid any
target,
good?
right, as well?
Yes, absolutely. But like I've always said, that extra added pressure, it just motivates me. It motivates me to, prove people wrong and motivate me to go out there and perform. And like I've always said, I've always performed better under pressure, so I welcome that.
How similar or otherwise would you say your style in the ring is to your dad's?
I would say our styles are actually very different. My father, he was more of like a come forward, aggressive minded fighter. We are similar in the fact that we're both aggressive, but I'm aggressive in a different way. Like I have my slick skills, like head movement, feint, speed, weird angles, stuff like that. Whereas my dad was kind of more like Mexican style, to say the least. But I think we share similar things. Like we both have grit, we both work extremely hard, both have a good jab.
How far do you see yourself, and it's very early days, of course, but from that top echelon of the lightweight or super lightweight rather division?
I see myself becoming champion. I see myself mixing it up with all the big names. It's a long journey, but we're working hard every day. We're taking it day by day, and when it's all said and done, I see myself a champion in the 140 division.
Who have you kind of sparred that we know about or that we consider notable names so far? Because that gives you a good indication early in your career of where your ability is and how far you can go.
Yes, I've sparred with Oshaki Fox, Devin Haney, and Shakur Stevenson. Shakur, he actually me for one of his camps because he liked the work that I gave him. So he took me out to Vegas and I worked with him for 3 weeks straight. That was a great experience. Those are some of the big names that I've worked with, and I've not only held my own with these guys, but I've been very competitive with these guys.
Now, I can already tell you're an absolute gentleman, so I'm not going to be expecting too much in terms of an answer to this question, but I do have to ask because Shakur and Devin, as you know, have been going back and forth on social media recently. You've been in the ring sparring with both of those guys. How do you kind of weigh that one up?
That's a good match. I think it may not be the most entertaining, but I see it being a high level chess match. And see, I think Shakur edges it out. I think Shakur edges it out with his sharpness and his defense. I see Shakur edging it out.
And going in there with those guys, I know it's sparring rather than a competitive fight, but you're learning. But how much does it tell you? How much extra confidence does it give you that you can get to that level? Because the talent's there. You have to get used to the conditioning, the longer rounds, and so on. But it must be a confidence booster.
Yes, for sure. Every time up in the ring with those guys and I do good and my own and am competitive and have good days against guys, it gives me a lot of confidence knowing that I'm this early in my career competing with pound for guys. So it's definitely always a blessing to get in the ring with those guys.
And I don't want to keep getting you to pick against Devin Haney, but he's obviously got a big fight coming up in your division against Regis Prograis for the WBC belt. What do you make of that one? Haney moving up from lightweight, where he was undisputed champion, of course.
I think it's a good move. I heard he struggled making 135, so I think it's a good move for him to move up to 140 and make the weight more comfortable. that being said, he's moving up. He's facing bigger punchers. I don't know how that's going to work out for him, but he just needs to keep doing what he's doing, use his skills, box, and, get the wins like that. And I see him probably outboxing Regis Prograis to a unanimous decision.
And you're on, as I said, December 1st. It's on DAZN around the world. So we'll be able to see you, which is pretty cool for us as well. Red Owl Boxing, a new venture. Just tell us a little bit about that and about the shows we're going to see on DAZN.
Yes. Boxing, it's a new venture. They're looking to give guys like me, young prospects, some viewership, and they're looking to put together good fights, evenly matched fights for the fans to see in Houston and in Canada, I believe. And I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Great stuff. Now, I'd like to bring your dad in, if that's all right. Raul, is that okay?
Yeah, no problem, man.
All right, let me bring you in as well. Just bear with. Yeah, we've got you both side by side now. Just tell us, and obviously he's right there, but just tell us what stands out about your son. Imagine you were talking about him as if he were a prospect unrelated to you, and you were just watching him. You'd seen him, tape of him on YouTube, on TV. What's special about him?
Well, his boxing IQ, he's different. He's not the typical Mexican style boxer that just comes forward and takes a lot of punches and keeps coming forward like Mexican fighters fight. I think he's got a lot of skills. I like the way he switches from right to left to right again, kind of like Duran Ennis does it. He's always thinking in the ring. He's got a good jab. He's got, good defense, respectable power. And besides that, just working in the gym, he's very dedicated. He's very disciplined. I don't have to worry about him when I have to go out of town and call a fight. Every time I text him, I say, "What are you doing?" He'll send me a picture. He's on a treadmill or running at the park or at the gym, hitting the heavy bag. So, that's very important in boxing. Like when you could have someone that has all the skills in the world, but if they don't have the discipline and dedication, that training regimen that they know they have to be in shape. Because if you're not in shape, you got all the skills in the world, you run out of gas. The guy that is in better shape is going to beat you, because that's just the way it goes. You got to be in shape. So yeah, that's what that stands out with my son. He's got good speed. The last two fights, he's fought some decent opponents, and where some of the matchmakers, promoters thought that, and the people that really know about boxing thought that this guy would take him the distance, would take him the full 6 rounds, and Giovanni performed very well, and he took him out in 2 rounds. Nicky Vitone on the Overtime Boxing platform, which was on DAZN, he got him out in 2 rounds, and then the last guy, Strahan was a really good opponent, different boxer type of guy, and Giovanni got him out of there too in 2 rounds, knocked him out in 2 rounds. So he's been looking very impressive. I think we have matched him very well. It's not like he's been fighting sitting ducks, that just are there for, collect a check. And I think, I'm very proud of him, and I'm very happy with his performances. And I think, his management group, Split T, David McWater, we're all very excited to see what the future holds. I know it's a long road. I know it's a tough sport, but, we make Giovanni's he's a very exciting fighter. He knows that knockout sell, and he likes to put on a good show. He likes to, every time, actually all of my kids, when they fight the amateurs, everybody wanted to see him fight, because I always put on great fights. But going back to Giovanni, his fights that he puts on, they're exciting, and people want to see him. And I'm not saying that because he's my son. All his fights are exciting, man. He comes to fight. He's smart in there. He takes his time. He's got that killer instinct, his explosiveness, combination puncher. Everything is there. Everything is there. We just got to take our time and guide him the right way. Guide him the right way with David McWater and Split Management, and me as a trainer. And I think he's got a bright future.
And I asked a similar question to GIO, but what's the biggest kind of lesson from your own career that you've made sure to drill into him?
On the management side, me and my father, when we got into it, I'd signed with main events. They were on top of the world back then. They had all the Olympians, Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor, Vander Holyfield.
Sure.
And so I was with the Duva team, Lou Duva, and we made some mistakes, just stuff that I like to keep private, And then when we went with Bob Arum and Top Rank, there was fights that perhaps, I was always trying to fight King Kong. I was trying to fight I'm old school. Like I was trying to fight the best to be the best. And, when I lost the title, I think I really lost the title more because I was banged up from a fight I had 3 months before. And I was in the ring too soon, stuff like that. Hopefully we don't get to that point. I hope Giovanni never gets banged up like that. But I like to be open with my son. This is a new generation. People could knock you out with your hands up, like this all the time. And if he feels comfortable with his hands down or here, he's got his unique style, I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Whatever makes him feel comfortable, I'm open to that. And because, like I said, you could also get, if you got your hands up here, you could also get knocked out. So it's whatever makes him feel good. I'm the type of guy that I don't like to spar him every day. Everyday sparring doesn't work for me. I'm the kind of trainer that, I bust my ass. I like to go in there with him and put the body vest on, and I put punch mitts on, and I'm still heavier than him. So we work on things, because when you do that, you work in the ring with him, and he's able to control the distance, and he feels more comfortable being in the ring. And I'm pushing him around. I'm stronger. I can still push him around, hold him, frustrate him. I try to do things that guys that are opponents that have more experience than him will try to do to Giovanni to get him off his game plan. Try to frustrate him. I try to wrestle him and just give him different looks. That way that he's prepared for the circumstances whenever they do happen inside the ring. But, I really don't have to, honestly, I don't have to worry about that, because Giovanni was talking about, man, he spars with Oshaki Foster here in Houston. He sparred him a bunch of times. Even Austin Trout. Austin Trout still fighting. He's heavier, but we went some rounds with him. Austin came down and said, "Man, your son's gonna be good, man. He's an experienced guy. He knows what's good and what's not." So hearing that from Austin Trout, that makes you feel good. We're doing the right thing. And him and Giovanni sparring with Shakur Stevenson, not just when he went to camp with him in Vegas, but also here in Houston at Prince Gym. He sparred Shakur many times. And you learn from sparring with guys like that. You get better. And, they talk shit to each other. But Shakur tries to intimidate him, and Giovanni doesn't get intimidated. Same thing with Devin Haney. Devin Haney tried to intimidate him. And, of course, I know Bill Haney really good. I know Devin, because they fought on the series that I do, Showbox, the new generation. And whenever we did sparring with him, and, we got respect from him, They came up to us after that and said, "Man, your son's, he's good. He's going to be all right," because he tried to get in his head. He tried to get in Giovanni's head, and Giovanni, it didn't faze Giovanni. Giovanni was talking smack to him back, and, just stuff like that. And all that helps. I think that, with all the experiences that I've had in boxing, I think I could, I helped Giovanni out a lot.
Gio, just tell us a little bit about that kind of responding to that intimidation factor and the smack talk from the likes of Devin and Shakur.
Yeah, sometimes these big stars, they try to punk the younger guys and intimidate them with talk and stuff like that. It just doesn't faze me. I'll just talk right back or entertain it. It's just sparring, and then after, we just are sportsmanlike and say good work and whatnot.
Right.
Well, before I let you go, Gio, just tell the people watching out there how they can find you on the different social media platforms so they can get to know you a bit better ahead of December the 1st.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at Giovanni.Marquez and Twitter at GioMarquez36.
And I don't think they'll have any problems finding you, Raul, as well. I know you're still very active on social media. And with Showbox and Showtime generally now leaving boxing, where will we find you? Where's your new home as a commentator?
Well, actually, at this point, I don't know. As a matter of fact, that it is a a bittersweet moment that, you know, that Showtime boxing is going to end, you know, but I mean, you know, I can't complain. I had a 12-year run with them, you know, covering Showtime Championship boxing, the big fights, the super fights in Spanish and in English. I did both, and then I did Showbox, the new generation, where I saw prospects come up and go on to become world champions. And you know, I did press conferences, I did weigh-in shows, I did a lot, you know, and you know, for me to just to be able to break it down for all the fans, the boxing fans that love boxing as much as I do, it was a true privilege. And like I tell everybody, man, and you know, this ain't the end for El Diamante. You know, I'm sure, you know, you're gonna see me down the line somewhere else. You know, we don't know at this point. I know that you know, obviously, you know, I worked for Showtime. PBC was the promoter, and I'm hoping that wherever PBC lands, whatever platform they land, there's a lot of rumors, you know, but we really don't know. I'm hoping that I land a job there, you know, doing Spanish or English or, you know, whatever. So that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to both of you guys. GIO, very best of luck December the 1st. We'll all be watching on DAZN. And Raul, absolute pleasure to meet you as well. Thanks, guys, and see you both soon, hopefully.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for the time, and thank you for the interview.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you, guys.